Welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Reviews. This time we go to international waters, although technically speaking this came from Sweden. But when taking a look at the artist list here, the people, the musicians in the band, it seems like they're scattered around. Well, I don't know the details, and sometimes obviously Metal Archive's site is not exactly updated, so let's take it with a grain of salt. More importantly, we're here talking about the music as well as the package, the CD. What do we have here for review? This is Wékeras, and it comes with a Polish title. Here you see do wirów do krzyków. Obviously, I have no idea how to pronounce it properly, but that's my best take on the Polish language, always full of consonants and all that stuff. Now, this seems to be a rather new band, and so far the only full album out there by the given band. So let's assume that this band is pretty much taking the early steps with the music, and obviously we're gonna talk about this debut album in terms of music as well as give this CD a nice look. Here you can see what I assume is the Baba Yaga hut, the one with walking leg and staying on its foot, a classic tale of sorts. And on the cover we'll see these elder people staring at black sun, or something similar anyway. Here is the logo and of course the line up. So 4 people band, and there's the recording information. Now inside you will find lyrics, but as you can see they are in Polish, which are once again going back to their very roots of the band. I mean, I previously went to the Rauta band and they have the same vocalist, which kind of points towards Poland. So while technically speaking of Sweden, there's this Polish roots taking part. I never asked too much about the background of the given artist, and technically speaking goes beyond the scope of this review. But let's talk about the music while I pack back this CD. So as you can see, founded, according to Metal Archives anyway, 2022, came out with the demo after that, and then CD 2025. As much as I couldn't figure out, the person who sent me this, taking care of vocals and lyrics, is indeed of Polish origin, or at least the lyrics and titles and all that stuff is written in Polish. So not exactly the typical Swedish take on music. Coming from Stockholm, capital city of Sweden, might be a little bit misleading here if you're assuming some kind of a Swedish take on black metal. We'll all know the signature style of Swedish black metal, more often so than not, very melodic and very well produced. But since Wékeras isn't your typical Swedish band, there is a kind of a surprise element. Now, this album is kind of a short and sweet, around 30 minutes, give or take, and comes with 7 tracks. So they are very much in point, not overextending their stay or whatever. And that's actually one of the good things on this album. They just go through the given set of lyrics and riffs and all, and then move on, which is, unlike so many other bands, very refreshing, because it's not like, hey, you have some 8-minute or 10-minute tracks without too much nonsense or filler in the music. Now, personally, I rather favor quality over quantity. So 30 minutes of good stuff is definitely better than, say, 45 minutes, not to mention 60 minutes of this and that. Now, what is interesting with Wékeras style is that while it's very much on the second wave of black metal, there are these roots that go even beyond that. There's a little bit of thrashiness in the songwriting, which then again is refreshing. Some of the riffs are exactly quite thrashy, while the overall is not exactly what I would consider to be black thrash. Now, those who are a little bit like, I don't know if I really like that much of a thrash, should not be afraid of this, because indeed it's more like a seasoning rather than defining thing here. What is also noteworthy that the production is actually a little bit more what I would call organic. It's a little bit of older school than these days. It's not exactly raw, and it's definitely not the modern day punchy big ass production, but something a little bit less distorted and all that stuff. So goes a little bit out of your typical territory boundaries when it comes to black metal sound. Vocals then again are more of these high pitchy screamy vocals, really good. And then there are these outright like screams of horror, or should we call them shrieking. And that's fascinating once again because it's not, going to the called raspier territory, which is usually my preference, but always I have this, understanding and like for the vocals which are outside your typical thing, especially when they're well executed like this one. So there's a little bit of originality, especially in terms of vocals and production when it comes to the overall presentation of this band. Now, if there is one but, which there always are buts, I would say the songwriting could be a tad bit catchier, meaning while there are no instantaneous hit songs, so to speak, the overall album is nice to listen, but then you kind of start to wonder what if this band actually had the kind of a killer songs, the so-called hit songs, which would go right into your brain and you would be like, wow, this is the stuff that I really, really want to hear more. Now it's definitely on the good side of things, and I can say that I'm enjoying the whole thing here, and it's totally different than the Vocalist other band, which is more Black Death kind of thing. So this is more like old school black metal with a little bit thrashiness in the mix. So totally two different sets of bands and not much in common. So if I got you interested, obviously check out the music. It's out through Pagan Records since late June 2025. Links are provided in the description box. As the saying goes, if you like it, go buy it. Now off you go, give it a listen and enjoy.